for the fofo. This for the fofo. For the city and them back roads. Got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the fofo and let's go. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah. So let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva. Them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the fofo chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewell got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and Connie I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the fofo. This for the fofo. This for the fofo.
Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Sam Torres here on the 440 Sports Show, covering all of the best sports right here on YSN and in our area. We've got some cool stuff we're going to go over today. Now, not a whole lot of baseball and softball getting played on Friday night, mostly due to the fact that we've come upon the tournament time. So not much to go over on the scoreboard side of things there, but there was a lot of tournament softball getting played yesterday. But today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit. We're going to go a little bit off topic, and I know for some people this probably seems premature, but I want to get into a little bit of there we go. I'm actually talking. We're going to talk a little bit about the OHSAA, and we're going to talk about divisions. I got a chance to hop on the Power Hour last week for just a little bit and kind of chop it up with DJ. And make sure you check out his show at 3 o'clock. And what we were talking about was kind of these huge sectionals and how baseball. So for those of you who don't know, football in the state of Ohio, 7 divisions. You know, you go all the way from 1 to 7. And each division breaks it up into, you know, from the largest schools to the smallest schools. And we're actually going to talk about that too, because there's a problem with the way that works too. Football doesn't have it right by any means. There's a huge and a glaring gap there. But for pretty much every other sport, 4 divisions, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if you think about it. And I'm going to show you guys the numbers just to kind of back up my claim here. You know, it never really has made sense to me. The biggest thing I can come up with to kind of support that on the OHSAA side is, you know, football is probably the biggest revenue sport of all of them. So they can maybe afford to pay more referees and stuff like that. But if that is truly the reason, if that's the only reason behind this, I can't make that make sense. There's some matchups that don't necessarily make sense. You know, this is the first year that I've covered baseball and softball as in depth as you know, this year. So I've seen some small teams, some teams that really shouldn't really match up, and divisions are determined by enrollment. So there are pretty huge enrollment gaps in these divisions, and it doesn't necessarily make it fair. You know, anybody's got a chance, obviously, you know, but you know, when you're talking realistically, you know, if you're getting to pull from 300 kids, and my roster's barely getting to crack 100, you know, or I can just barely crack 100 kids from my school to pull from, you're going to have a better chance of putting together a more skilled team just because you're going to have more options. That's not to say that smaller teams can't win, but it doesn't necessarily make sense. It doesn't make sense. So, but before I start showing you some of those numbers and those sort of things, I wanted to run through. We had a lot of big moments last week. A lot of big moments last week on the OHSAA playoffs that we got a chance to cover. So I want to bring up some of those moments, and we had some guys from the network that were on the call, and they really, really made it awesome. And this is the difference here. This is why YSN offers you kind of a better, or not kind of, this is why YSN offers you a better product than a Huddle Cam. This is why we offer you a better product than the NFHS cams, because we put personality into the game, the passion, the description, those sort of things. That's all what makes a difference. At the end of the day, we're all fans as well. We're fans of the sport. We're fans of these kids and of these games. So I think it comes across in the clips. I think if you've ever listened to it, I think most our announcers are going to really make it seem like a big deal, because to us it truly is a big deal. But these are some of the championship moments. YSN is Your Sports Networks. These are your sports moments on Your Sports Network.
Swing and a miss. 20 strikeouts in a ball game for Sydney Watts. What a performance, as the Austintown Fitch Falcons are district champions once again, as Watts
and fires. That one roped. That's going to get down. Southrange walks it off. Gretchen Bartels. FedEx delivers again. Your 2023 district champions.
Swung on and right into the glove of the diving third baseman Panunzio, and that will do it here in Hubbard. The final score, Canfield 7 and Field
12 strikeouts and looking to put it away. Swing and a miss, and champion is your Division III district champion here in 2023. Champion finding a way to get the redemption going after that upset last year, but they are finally back on top.
Yeah, those were some of the biggest moments from last week. We do have some young ladies from the YSN territory, heading into those district final games, or the winning district championship games. We've got some that are going into the regional play right now. Very tough matchups, some very tough matchups. We've got a chance for a couple YSN teams to meet in the regional championship. So my fingers are crossed for those games, because those are going to end up being awesome. Over on the baseball side of things, which is what we're going to dive into right now. We've got some teams still playing. There's still a lot. You got to remember, baseball about a week behind softball. So they are heading into district semifinal play starting today for some and tomorrow for most. So we'll start over here on the Division IV side of things, on the Springfield tournament, and it's Warren JFK. They're going to be taking on Bristol. That one is going to be tomorrow as well, over there, and they're going to play that one at Springfield High School. So Warren JFK and Bristol, both YSN schools. JFK, one of the better teams in the area, a 2 seed, which is surprising to me in this bracket, just because over on the other side, I wanted to see who the 1 seed was. They split the conference series with a team by the name of Hartville Lake Center, and they're a 1 seed. So I think a lot of people are kind of looking for those two to play again. Hartville Lake Center, they got a tough team ahead of them, though. I can promise you that, in St. John. Lake Center, not one of our teams, so I can comfortably say that I'm pulling heavy for the Heralds here. But in this game here, it's Warren JFK and Bristol. Bristol is going to have to take on a very, very good Warren JFK who has found their footing late in the year. And in baseball, it's not how much you win, it's really when you win. You know, once these tournament games start, if you can keep continuously win, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you won one or no games during the regular season. Now, what does matter is your seeding. So you're going to get into those tougher games earlier in the bracket, the worse seed you are, because you're going to have, you know, the higher seeds play the lower seeds. But these seeds, a lot of times, you know, when you talk about a 16 versus a 22 or, you know, 13 versus a 9, you know, these games end up being closer than people expect, because a lot of times there's a lot of parity in baseball. These teams aren't as far off as you would think. Also down here, you're going to have Springfield, who's going to get to host a district playoff game. How about that? They're going to get to play on their home field, I believe. Yeah, they get to play on their home field for this district semifinal game, and they're going to be taking on Columbiana Heartland Christian. That one is also going to be tomorrow at 5 o'clock. That Warren JFK game's at 2 o'clock, and one of my biggest gripes, I think it's kind of ridiculous that they are playing 2 o'clock baseball and softball games. These are student athletes. Student comes before athlete for a reason. And you're going to have to pull these kids out of school early in some cases to get them to the games on time. When you have Friday afternoons that have virtually no softball and baseball games going on, and Saturdays which had none. Make use of the evening. Make use of the days where kids are not going to school. You know, double headers, whatever you got to do. But Friday nights and Saturday nights make more sense, or playing a later game on those days rather than pulling a kid out in the middle of his school day or her school day to go play for a tournament game. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. You know, these are high school kids, and their school has to come first, and that is not what's that's not what's happening here. So, you know, sorry again to Warren JFK, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sorry, and Bristol, you guys got to pull that 2 o'clock game, you know, and going to Springfield. I don't know exactly how far that is away, but I know regardless, you're going to have to leave your school probably at 1, at least at 1, maybe earlier to get to this game. So, you know, that's kind of ridiculous. I didn't even realize they did that until this year. Again, I never really kind of put my foot into the baseball and softball playoff games until I looked at the way that these district games were being set up. I said, what do you mean 2 o'clock? That's got to be a misprint, right? Nope. 2 o'clock, that's the norm. So, you know, get better. That's a terrible idea, OHSA. Heading over here onto the Struthers side of things, Division 4. Again, it's Hartville Lake Christian, the number 1 seed. So they're going to be playing Ashtabula St. John. Now, St. John is a number 8 seed. There are people who would argue that St. John should not have been an 18 seed or an 8 seed. Myself also, I would be one of them. Let's see, we got some comments here. Go Warren JFK, woohoo! Jessica Carfangia, thanks for watching. And no, Marlo Sam says, he must be talking about the times. The times, yeah. Again, like I said, I think Friday and Saturday makes more sense. That just makes more sense to me for these kids to not have to miss school, because ultimately that should be the first thing, right? You know, that's what we should be pushing. Hartville Lake Christian, they're 1 seed, and like I said, Ashtabula St. John, they were 8 seed, and you know, they end the year with a ton of wins, an absolute ton of wins. You know, probably should have had a higher seed, but ultimately, I think weather played a bigger part in this than anything, you know, just because they come up with the seeding very early. And a lot of this comes into the fact that baseball has to squeeze a whole tight season into about 2 months, because the first month is nothing but rain and cold. And the only teams that are getting games in are the teams that, you know, have the means to travel. So if you can get to a southern portion of the United States, whether it's Tennessee, Myrtle Beach, Florida, then you're going to get some games in early, and you're going to see their records are a little bit more filled up than some of the other ones. But if you're kind of stuck to this area, I mean, it rains half the time, and then it's, it rains for a couple days. It doesn't rain. The fields are terrible, and then it rains again. That's pretty much the first quarter of the season. Marlo Sam says, we need some Sunday games during the season too. You know what? Most of the time, I'm a big anti-Sunday guy when it comes to baseball or contests. Sunday's kind of a big day for us, for me and my house and my family. But you might be right. You may be right. There's got to be a way to get more done on the weekend than, and even if they only did Sunday games, maybe during the OHSA playoff times. But one thing I do know, and I could comfortably say, is pulling kids out of school for a 2:00 game is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And when that got okayed, and the oversight on that is really what I would love to have been a fly on the wall when they decided that was an acceptable sacrifice, to sacrifice kids' time during school to get an earlier game. Again, I don't know if this is official availability. I don't know if this is transportation availability, but I do know that those things can be fixed. Lessons that kids are missing. This is finals week for some kids. And we're pulling them out of school to get to a 2:00 game. Make it make sense for me, because it certainly doesn't. Anyway, getting back to this matchup. Lake Center Christian and St. John. This is a tough one for the Heralds. Lake Center Christian is incredibly good. They are very, very good. I put them right on the same kind of, they're on level. It's neck and neck with Warren JFK. And Warren JFK is, as far as I'm concerned, is far and away the best team in this division right now. I think that there's a lot of people who expect them to kind of bring home a trophy. They split the series with JFK this year. So St. John, who has had an incredible year, winning the NAC, going undefeated in their conference, first year in the conference. They're going against a very, very tough Lake Center Christian team. And I'll tell you what, if they win this game, they earned every right of everything that they're getting. Because it's, they are 100% the underdog in this. But I think St. John has been used to being the underdog. I think they played the underdog, through their entire existence. So this is nothing new. The beautiful thing about baseball is it only takes one day, one pitcher, and one person having a hot day, and you can take the dub. Down here, we've got Matthews taking on McDonald. This a much closer matchup here. The 3 seed versus the 4 seed here, and this one is going to be played at Scene Park too, I believe. Yep. So these are going to be played at Scene Park, with St. John starting at 5 and Matthews going to be both playing at 5. Bob Scene Park down there in Struthers, like, what an awesome, awesome deal that is for the people who can make use of those facilities. Tons of baseball fields, beautifully kept. There are lights down there. They have a full-time crew, and it makes sense. I've been talking to a local coach up here in the Ashtabula area about the overall need for, a high-level baseball field. And by high level, I mean turf. We need one up here, guys. Our teams get to play about 3/4 of the games that a lot of teams in the southern portion get to play. And that's why it makes us hard to get ready, because we're starting, we play the first quarter of our season in a gym. And gyms are for basketball, gyms are for volleyball. Gyms are not for baseball. You're not getting better in there. The very best you can hope is you're maintaining in a gym. All right, heading over here onto the Division III side of things. We'll go over to the Struthers bracket. And that's going to have Cortland, Lakeview, and Perry. This one's starting today, and is it at Scene Park? Yep, 6:30 game. Lakeview and Perry. This is going to be one to tune in for today. Cortland, Lakeview is very, very good. Perry is also very, very good. Lakeview has been riding a high, winning the NE8. beating some top-level teams, including teams who are still playing in the tournament right now. Going against a Perry team that is so regularly this deep into the tournament that this may as well be a regular season for them, a regular season game for them. So this is sure to be, Cortland has stepped up to every single challenge throughout this year, and there is no rest for the wicked. These guys are going to have another challenge right now. You look in their last round, their 13th seed was Cardinal. Cardinal has arguably one of the best pitchers in Northeast Ohio, in Jake Bean. That was their set round 2 game, and now they get to go against a monster known as Perry. So Cortland, I'll tell you what, they're another one. By the time they get to the district finals, they would have been completely tested and ready. And then you got Kirtland taking on Garrettsville Garfield, and this one is going to be a big game as well. The G-men have overperformed throughout this year, and Kirtland has done the same thing. Kirtland, in a close one with Columbiana, I think a lot of people penciled Columbiana in to beat Kirtland. I think they forgot who the Hornets really were. Kirtland, anytime they're playing a game, they're always in it. Doesn't matter what they're doing. So, Kirtland's got a chance if it's a pinochle match, and that's the truth. All right, we're going to head back and go into the Division II side of things. Let's start right here in Louisville, which is going to have Hubbard, and we were just talking about some of the teams that Lakeview Cortland has played that are still playing, and right there is one of them in Hubbard. Hubbard playing West Branch, 2 very good teams right there from the YSN network. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, folks. I don't know what happened, but, that's the way it goes sometimes. Let's get this right back up on the screen. All right. It's better because it looks like the connection stabilized anyway. So, awesome. Again, Hubbard and West Branch playing each other. Let's head over to the Struthers side of things. And that's going to have these games are going to be starting today at 4 o'clock, and that's Canfield and Poland Seminary. Another one you're not going to want to miss. 2 giants of that area. Canfield, obviously, the heavy favorite in this one. Poland Seminary, they got everything they could handle from Edgewood. That 1-run difference. Edgewood, they were in a tough game against them. They're going against a very, very good Canfield team with probably one of the best players on the YSN network playing for them right now. So that game is going to be played at Bob Scene Park as well. 4 o'clock, 2 versus 8 seed there. Ursuline going to be taking on Field. Ursuline, a 6 seed, making its way all the way through. Being the favorite in the first round and won't be the favorite until the state championship probably. But they're going to be taking on Mogador Field. And that one's going to be at 4 o'clock at Scene Park as well. Here we go. And on the Struthers side of things, we got them. Louisville. And we got them. Okay. Now heading over here into this Division I bracket, which this one is always fun for me because it takes me forever to find our teams. You got Chardon. Last year's state champion. They're going to be taking on Hoban. This one is going to be tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and they're going to be playing this one in Canton. Hoban has been a dominant force throughout this entire year in pretty much every sport that they played in, and they're going to be playing Chardon. They're going to be playing Chardon, who won a state championship last year. 5 o'clock right there in Canton. Euclid, I think is where they're at. Mayfield, Hudson. Nope. Macedonia. That's where they were. All right, and now over here on the Division I side of things, it's Walsh Jesuit. They're getting ready to play Austintown Fitch. This one's a 4:30 game in Macedonia. Obviously, Walsh Jesuit is another heavy favorite in this one, but Austintown Fitch, I think they're overlooked, have been overlooked all year. They embrace that sort of deal, and it's another big test for them against a very, very good program. Very good program. And then you can't talk about very good programs without talking about the Leopards of Louisville. The 9 seed taking on Canton Glen Oak. Glen Oak is a name that kind of resonates throughout every household in Ohio and across the country in Canton Glen Oak. 8 versus 9 seed. This one, here again is another one that doesn't make sense. 1:30 in the afternoon, these kids are going to have to play. So now what are they going to have to do? They're going to miss a whole day of school? It's finals week. Come on, man. Get your head out. Get your head together. 1:30, that's never. We aren't on summer vacation yet. Like 1:30 doesn't make sense. These kids are no doubt going to have to miss school. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Anyway, that's going to be your division breakdowns. I'm going to go to my first break of the show, and this is the part of the show where I'm going to remind you guys that the 440 show, 440 Sports Show, is brought to you by Nobody Yet. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for advertisers. All the way from the Mahoning River and Akron, all the way up to Lake Erie, and all those schools in between. You're going to be able to catch those. It's truly regional advertising, and it's a great way to help the kids because all the money we get from advertising and sponsorships, we push right over into the shows, the events, the scholarships, all that good stuff that we're giving out. That comes from the help of people like you. So if you're interested, hit me up on any of the social medias, or you can go to ysnlive.com or ysnlive.com and click the advertising tab, and all the information you need right there. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to get some Ashton Bueller representation on here. That's for sure. But first, let's go to our friends over at Toyota of Warren. We'll be right back.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
This auto show season, Greenwood Chevrolet is celebrating more than a stunning Chevy vehicle lineup. We're celebrating the team that helps you find the perfect vehicle and goes the extra mile for you. Right now, lease a 2023 Equinox for as low as $289 a month, with Chevy lease loyalty up to $1,500. With over 280 vehicles in stock, you can experience the auto show in a brand new way, only at Greenwood Chevrolet. Shopping for a vehicle online should be easy and worry-free. Introducing Merge from Greenwood Chevrolet, a completely new way to buy a car that combines the convenience of shopping online with the personal touch and expertise that Greenwood is known for. With Merge, shopping is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose a vehicle from our pre-owned inventory, build a deal that fits your needs, and finalize the deal with our online buying team. That's car buying in a new lane. Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and let us go the extra mile for you.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Sam Torres here. One of the things I'm going to end the show with today, I want to talk a little bit about divisions in high school sports and why they don't make sense. I got a chance. I'll tell you who kind of struck this fire up in me. Last week, I got a chance to jump on the Power Hour at 3 o'clock with DJ Oakley. That's a daily show as well, right here in the afternoon. Great stuff. Awesome guests they get on there. Interviews galore, the whole nine. But he kind of talked about he was talking about these super sectionals and matchups that make sense, and are the divisions really the right way in baseball and softball? And I will say it's a resounding no, absolutely not. 4 divisions in baseball and softball don't make a lick of sense. Do not make a lick of sense. And I'm going to tell you why. 7 divisions in football. Football has it as close to right as you possibly can. So you want to look at, and one of the arguments is just the sheer amount of teams that are taking part in the sport. Well, this is from the OHSAA website. Okay, so these are the teams that are registered to play those sports. So we're going to take a look at football here. 7 divisions, mind you. 709 teams registered. So they've got 709 teams, and they can get 7 divisions out of that 709. And this is the big one I want you to take care of or take a look at as well here. This adjusted enrollment is the difference in enrollment. And football has a big thing wrong with it too. But first things first, let's go into baseball, and we're going to come back to football. So remember that number, 709 for football. They can get 7 divisions out of 709 teams. Baseball has 763. 763 teams for baseball, 4 divisions. The enrollment difference, 359 and more are all Division I. They make up 190 schools. And if you look at 359 all the way up to, I think some of these schools go, into the 6s when it comes to the enrollment. I mean, that's a huge difference. An absolutely monstrous difference. Division II with 189 schools, 208 to 358. 100 kids makes the difference. 129, 207 in 3, and 128 and less is Division IV. You can't tell me that with those 190 schools in each division, that putting in 3 more divisions and breaking up this enrollment to be a little bit more fairly, where maybe the difference in enrollment isn't 100, maybe the difference in enrollment ends up being closer to the 50 to 75 kid range, which is probably where it should be. But again, 763 teams in baseball, only 4 divisions. 709 teams in football, 7 divisions. Let's look at softball, because everybody thinks about, like, well, do they have the teams? Well, let's look at softball. 749 teams on the softball side of things. Again, the same thing. You've got more teams and less divisions. That doesn't make sense ever. Ever. That will never make sense. You have teams matching up that really shouldn't be matching up. And what you're truly doing is robbing some of these smaller schools and robbing some of these schools that barely meet the division requirement. There are schools in Division I that should not be there. There are schools in Division II, same deal, that are going to run into powerhouses that they're never going to be able to get past because they simply have way more enrollment. I mean, 198 to 347 in Division II. Come on. That's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. And it's not just baseball and softball where this is the problem. You look at girls basketball. Basketball is a mess. Basketball is an absolute mess. 789 on the girls' side. They don't even have the boys' side posted, but I can promise you the boys' side has even more teams than that. 4 divisions. 4 divisions. That's why you have teams like Richmond Heights that literally moonwalk into the state championship this year. 4 divisions, because they're going against teams, Richmond Heights and St. John High School, same division. Doesn't make not even a little bit of sense. Not even a little bit. None at all. None at all here in basketball. And football has it pretty close to right. But football, there is a glaring error with football. And I know it's early to start talking football. But this is my show, so I'm going to talk about it. And I love football. So there's a glaring error with football. And I don't know if this is overlooked on purpose. I don't know if there are specialized interest groups that are keeping it this way so they can have their time in the sun, so they can pump their numbers up. But 7 divisions, I want you to look. There's one of these things is not like the other. I agree with you, Marlo. My man, it's never too early for football. One of these things is not like the other when it comes to football. Look at Division I. 71 schools for Division 1, 106 for Division 2. Division 1 getting coddled there a little bit. And, one of the things we talked about with the playoffs, you've got regions in Division 1 now. 16 teams make the playoffs every year, okay? 16 teams make the playoffs every year. I love it. More football, the better. I love 16. I love that many getting in, but I'll tell you what, I could understand if they bumped it down to 12. I think 8 was not enough, and I think 4 was ridiculous. But I think 16 works, and I think 12 is probably the perfect number. 71 teams in football are Division 1. Region 1, Division 1, there are 17 teams in the region. You only have to win one game to make the playoffs in Division 1. It's the stupidest thing on earth. And people are saying, well, it doesn't make, we can't make the numbers. Yes, you can, and I'm going to tell you how. If you look at Division 2, so let's start talking adjusted enrollment, okay? Adjusted enrollment is the number of kids you're going to get, you have registered with the state. 604. 604 is the bottom number there. Every other one, it starts in the 3s and the 4s. Now football. Football's going to start at 600. 604 or more, which is why there's only 71 schools that qualify for that Division 1 status. Look at the difference in Division 2. Division 2, 106 schools, 378, so call it 380 just for ease of numbers, to 603. I am not a math guy, so I'm going to get out here on this handy-dandy calculator so we can talk about the difference in that. So 603 minus 378, 225. 225 student difference in Division 2 from the top to the very bottom. That's why Lakeside is playing against Riverside, who are two different completely programs. That doesn't make a little bit of sense. First of all, that Division 1 number is the one that needs to get fixed. That Division 1 number should start at about 400. That Division 1 number should start. Well, for the sake of fairness, let's say that Division 1 number starts at 480 and above, or even if you bumped it down to 500 and above. But there's no way that Division 2 should have a 225 student difference average between in your matchups. That's why Division 2 doesn't make a bit of sense. The rest of the divisions are pretty close. 272 and 377, about 100 a student difference there. That's about where your division should be, is about 100. Except Division 1. When you get to Division 1, once you meet that criteria, you're going against the best, the biggest, and the baddest, right? Division 1 is the top tier. When you get to the top tier, those are the ones who should have to make the sacrifice. Those are the ones who should have to go against teams that maybe they barely qualified for Division 1, and now they're going against a monster. That's where it should happen, not Division 2. Division 2, 100 kid difference is where they should be. This is where football needs to be. Every other conference, that's about where they're at. Look at, Division 3, 272 to 377. 209 to 271. That's not even 60 kid difference in Division 4. 163 to 208 and 5. 122 to 162, 40 kids is the difference in 6. And 121 and less in Division 7. And that's probably about right. 121 and less, those teams are all going to be about right. Division 4 Division 4's got its own problems. You know what I mean? I look at the Glenville issue. The fact that Glenville can essentially use a loophole in a charter school, put together Division 1 programs and play against Division 4 teams. Doesn't make sense. But, you know, these are the things that I don't know if they're overlooked on purpose, but I do know that if we continue to talk about them, that eventually they have to get fixed, right? Because we're sick and tired. I know myself personally, I think Division II is probably the biggest mess I've ever seen of all the sports, and that even includes the fact that baseball, softball, basketball only have 4 divisions. Football's Division II is the most broken system in high school sports. 225 kids is the difference in there, and you expect that to be a competitive division. It doesn't make sense. It never will be. That's something that's got to change. As you can tell, this is one of those things I get extremely, extremely passionate about, mostly because my teams up here are the ones who end up having to take the brunt of it. I've watched Lakeside have to match up against teams in Division II that don't make any sense at all. It's not fair. Give the kids an even playing field. Give the kids a chance. 225 kid difference in a division is an injustice. It's an injustice to the kids. We have to do better. We have to do better. I know we can do better. That's all I got for today, folks. I know this one went a little bit long because I went a bit off on a tangent. But that's one. I'll tell you what, football is one of those things that's always going to bring it out of me. So my name is Sam Torres. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys soon.
This for the football. This for the football. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them ghosts. All from the football. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the football chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating no dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them. Yeah, and Connie I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number 1 in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. Switch for the football.